How's everybody's Friday? It's Friday. Yeah, make sure you scan the code. It's Friday and it's like 80 degrees outside. Great night for a campfire or bike ride. Nobody has exciting night plans?
No.
Softball game?
I work every Friday.
You work every Friday. A run? I would not suggest going for a run though. To me, that's like horrible. Tennis and gym, that would be fun.
No, it was in the morning.
No?
Not the mood.
Oh, come on, tennis is the morning sport.
Oh, it's not in the morning though. With Miss Rossi, it's too much.
She's always full of energy.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. It's like just up there, like I log on in the morning on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's just like roll out of bed, just not the mood.
Well, I am going to make today an easy day for you. You guys kind of lucked out because my third period class, that's when we had the fire drill. So I had to kind of like tailor getting the quiz in prior to leaving for the fire drill, which means ninth period kind of lucked out because I was going to do notes. And then because of the fire drill, I couldn't fit in the notes. So then there wouldn't be enough time to take the quiz. So I feel like I'm shortchanging you by not giving you extra notes today. I know, like I'm totally letting you all down. Sorry. Failing as a teacher today. I know everybody's very disappointed. Everybody at home's really disappointed too. So today we are going to talk about the last three problems from the homework, which would have been the three problems that asked you to find the zeros of the function. And then you are going to take a little quiz, and the quiz is almost identical, extremely similar to the opener that we did on Wednesday, with completing the square, finding the standard form of a parabola, getting the vertex, the axis, the symmetry, the intercepts. And then the second question was the problem where you have a vertex and a point, and you're coming up with the function. So hopefully it should be straightforward. Easy points, that's my goal. Daniel. So Daniel is asking about last night's homework, and I think during the softball game, I actually took my iPad to my daughter's softball game, which I never do because I try to use it mom and watch, but I had a lot of grading to do, so I used the phone as a hotspot and I was grading on the iPad. And I think I got hit by a ball almost 10 times, so I guess you shouldn't be grading at a softball game. But going back to Daniel, I was answering a lot of questions about homework because last night I did not have a location for you to submit that homework assignment, and that wasn't a mistake. That was done on purpose. I'd say at this point, not every assignment is going to be submitted to be graded. It might be like every other question.
I'm paying free. I love it.
Testimonials like that. I can't hear because I have it quiet. Let's see here. Thanks. Okay, we're good. Yeah. All right. So not every assignment will be like submitted back to me. So it won't happen every single day of the week, but there will definitely be assignments like last night. Last night was, you kind of practicing on matching graphs, deciding how a graph shifts, and then also describing the end behavior, which is all, you can check those answers with the calculator. So there wasn't really a lot of algebraic work that I want to look at to make sure you're doing that correctly, which is why that assignment, I did not have a place for you to submit. But I think I totally confused at least half of the students because I got a lot of emails, which is good because you guys are being like totally on top of things. This game's crazy. Where's the place where I should submit my assignment? But there really was not a place last night. So thank you for asking and being on top of it, being a fantastic student or students. But yeah, every once in a while you'll see that happen. So that's what that was, Daniel. So just a couple of things that I have up here before we look at those homework questions. Test corrections for chapter 1 are due on Tuesday if you want to retake the chapter 1 test. And that is posted. It's actually at the very top of this week's assignments. It's the first thing on there for the week of the 19th to the 23rd, which is this week. Next Friday is the end of the semester. So if you want to retake the chapter 1 test, this needs to be done by Tuesday so that I can schedule a time for you to retake the chapter 1 test. And again, that's on Google Classroom. Once I see that you submitted it, I will grade it. I'll probably send an email to you and ask for time to retake that. The retake is very similar to the test, to the same type of questions. The numbers are just changed. Questions? Okay, so let's look at your homework. You want to take out the homework. The last 3 problems of the homework were really problems where you had to do a little bit of algebraic work. Okay. I feel like we had this.
Yeah.
The first day of school. Yep. Okay. Never mind. I'll just take my notes. And you can't really get a drink from the water fountain unless you have water. You do. Okay. All right. So the last 3 questions, 49, 53, 55, asked you to find the zeros, which hopefully the word zeros is something that you recognize. But then it does say to find their multiplicity, and you're probably like, what the heck is that? We'll talk more about multiplicity next week, but it actually is a kind of an easy concept. And once you see what it means, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense. But let's talk about 49 first, finding the zeros. So the function for 49 says x squared minus 25. What does it mean to find a zero? Daniel?
Means to find the value of x and y equals 0.
Yeah, find x when y is 0. You're finding the zeros of the function, which means when is the function equal to 0? Well, if the function is equal to 0, the only thing that's left to solve for is x. Daniel, how would you solve for x in this problem?
You get 25 on the other side and make the square root of both sides, so x is equal to positive 25.
Yeah, so I could take the 25 over. We could take the square root after we move the 25 over, and he said you get positive or negative y. So those are my zeros or solutions or x-intercepts, however you want to state it. Anytime you find x, you're finding the x-intercept, you're finding the zeros, because the problem was equal to 0. Now the multiplicity, that just means how many times is that number repeated. So technically, this is x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. These two numbers are different. I have 2 zeros. Each of those zeros are different zeros. So that would be a multiplicity of 1. Each zero occurs once. That's what a multiplicity is. So let's look at the next one just to kind of see what we do with that. That's 55. See if I can fit it underneath over here. No, 53 first. 53 says x squared plus x minus 2. Again, I'm finding the zeros, so we'll set it equal to 0. This is a different type of problem from the one above. How would we find the zeros of this problem?
Complete the square.
Yeah, so we could complete the square. That could be one option. Completing the square, we could take this 2 to the other side. And then Adam, what did you,
Plus
Okay.
1/4.
plus 1/4? So that means over here we have x plus 1/2. And on the other side, 2 is really 8/4. So that gives us 9/4. And then what'd you do, Adam? Oops, square.
I took the square root of both sides.
And you end up with -1/2 plus or minus
3
3/2. Yeah. Which gives you a -2 and a +1?
Yeah.
So that's one way you could solve this problem. That's actually the hard way. And somebody third period did it the hard way too. I think it was Gianna. What's another way that you can solve this problem that isn't quite as hard? See? You could use the quadratic formula. Works as well. I think that's even harder. You guys are thinking like complex right now.
You can factor.
Yeah, you can factor it. I mean, factoring is always an option. So this could have been factored as well just by using a +2 and a -1. There is not a wrong answer between the three that were given. So completing square works, not too bad. Quadratic formula works and you still get the same answer. Factoring is probably the easiest, most straightforward. But any of those methods are ways to find x. That's all the question is asking us. So like, can you find a method, an algebraic method to solve for x? So -2 and 1 would be the zeros with 53. Again, both of these are different. So the multiplicity would still be 1. Each 0 occurs once. If I look at the last problem, which was 55, this guy right here, if I make it equal to 0, Thibaut, what would you do first with number 55? Take out a t. This one has a GCF, and we do have to pull out that GCF first. And that is anytime you have a function, we always need to look for the GCF. That's like the first step. What'd you do then? How do you factor the inside? Yeah, t minus 2, t minus 2. So this inside here is actually a perfect square. It's a trinomial of perfect squares. So you could factor it as t minus 2 and t minus 2. Or I could have just said it's t minus 2 squared with one parenthesis and squared outside. So Thibaut, what are the zeros of this problem? Yeah, this one here, we factored out a t. That gives us a 0 of 0. T is equal to 0. And then these two tell me t is equal to 2. This one here, what do you think its multiplicity is? How many are there? 2 of them. So because the 0 of 2, because there are 2 of them, we say this actually has a multiplicity of 2 as well. And that's because it's there twice. So that's what multiplicity means. If you have a 0 that actually occurs, the same number occurs twice, then it's called a multiplicity of 2. And that happens because there were 2 of the same factors. That's all multiplicity means. We'll talk more about what that means graphically, because in the graph, something special is going to be happening at that 2. So that's why we like think about it. If it's happening twice, if something occurs in the graph because that happens twice. So we'll really talk about that on Monday and Tuesday. Any questions with the factoring? Little factoring review, solving for x review. Are there any other questions that you have from yesterday's homework? Hopefully it was pretty straightforward. So before you take your quiz, I want to show you what today's homework is. And again, I had a totally different homework assignment, but when I found out we had a fire drill today, I kind of changed plans for today. So instead of having 12 or 13 book homework problems, which is what it was originally scheduled, you have 2 word problems and that's it. 2. And you'll have time in class after the quiz to probably do them and maybe even complete them. So it's like a nice weekend present thanks to third period fire drill. So question number 1, it is a word problem. So I'm not giving you easy ones. This one is trying to find the maximum height of a dive. So the path of a diver is given by the equation. It has some fractions, -4/9 x squared, 24/9 plus 12. It says y is the height and x is the horizontal distance. Does anybody swim?
I do that.
Oh, do you do diving? Yeah. Oh, lovely. What kind of graph would you make when you dive off the diving board?
Probably
A parabola. So here's our diving board right here, creating the x-axis. And when you're on the diving board, you jump up. Yeah. You jump up. Actually, we'll say that's the water. Here's our diving board. She's going to jump up, and then she makes not much splash, right? That's the goal. Yeah. So she then goes into the water. This is asking you to find out how high the dive is. What's the maximum height? How tall is the diving board down in the pool? So like a couple feet off the water. Probably not 12. I think this is probably a higher one. The pool at Pitt, and I think they have a couple different levels there. I can't remember what that pool is called. I was there a couple years ago. I don't remember. But anyway, that's what you're trying to find. And then I tried to put a hint in here. Find the vertex of the parabola using the formula from using the given form, which is up here. Check section 2-1 notes for the formula that you would use to find the axis of symmetry. So I gave you a little hint, a little formula. Or you can complete the square. But your goal is to find the vertex using some type of algebraic method. The second problem is similar, except we're talking about earning money. Profit is when your company earns money. And in this case, the company actually is spending money on advertising. So think of those commercials that you don't see anymore because you stream everything. My girls, I don't think know what commercials are anymore. But companies still advertise, even when things are streamed, sometimes they're still advertising. You have to spend money to make money. So how much money can I spend so that I still make the most amount of money? Like what would that spending level be? Because if I spend too much, then I'm going to be losing money. So again, this question kind of asking you to get a maximum profit, which really means find the vertex. So anytime you have a parabola, a maximum of the parabola is the vertex. You're finding the vertex algebraically. The minimum of the parabola, you're still finding the vertex if I was trying to find the minimum. So a maximum or a minimum when you have a quadratic function, which is still a polynomial, but whenever you have a quadratic function, that part occurs at the vertex. So 2 questions. You can start them after your quiz. And if you want, feel free to work with somebody. If they're done with the quiz as well, you can definitely work with somebody in class. It's okay to get your desks a little closer together. It's safe. Good math, son. Any questions?